Hi, my name is Laura Lewis. I use she, her pronouns. I'm an associate professor of nursing at the University of Vermont, and I'm the principal investigator or the lead researcher on this study. Today I'm going to be going over the consent form for this study in a video version if you'd like to consider participating in the study. This study is taking place at the University of Vermont, and the title of the study is Dating and Sexual Education to Address Social Challenges of Autistic Young Adults. The lead investigator is myself, Dr. Laura Lewis, and this is occurring at the University of Vermont and at All Brains Belong Vermont. Our sponsor is the National Institutes of Health. The consent form for the study includes a summary text on the left-hand slide and a full text description on the right-hand side. In this video, I'll review the full text on the right side of the screen. Introduction. You're being invited to take part in this research study because you are 18 to 30 years old, identify as autistic, which may include formally diagnosed or self-identified, and live in the United States. This study is being conducted by the Neurodiversity Research Partnership, which is a team of autistic and non-autistic people. The lead researcher for the study is Dr. Laura Lewis at the University of Vermont. A team of autistic community partners are also serving as co-researchers on the study to guide the research process. Your participation in this research study is optional. We encourage you to ask questions and talk with others you trust about whether to participate. If you feel uncomfortable at any point, you can stop what is happening. You can also stop being a part of the study at any time. Next, we'll review key information to help you decide whether or not this study is right for you. Your participation in this research study is voluntary. The purpose of the study is to learn what social challenges autistic young adults face in dating and sexual relationships. The expected time for the study is approximately 60 minutes. What is involved? You'll complete an interview, which can happen in person, on the phone, or on Zoom, or a survey, which can happen online or through the mail, about your background, such as age, gender, race, your autistic identity, and your sexual and dating experiences. Interviews will be audio recorded. Risks to this study include feeling uncomfortable and accidental disclosure of private information. A complete list of the risks is given in the following pages. Benefits of the study: for you, there are no direct benefits. For the autistic community, findings will be used to develop a dating and sexual education program with and for autistic young adults to address social challenges. There are no costs to participate in this study. Compensation will include a $50 check or Amazon gift card at the end of the study. Confidentiality. Information will be kept as confidential as possible, with the exception of certain information that we must report for legal or ethical reasons, such as concerns about abuse. You can choose to stop participating at any time. Why is this research study being conducted? The purpose of this study is to understand the social challenges that autistic young adults face in dating and sexual relationships. Outcomes from this study will be used to develop an inclusive education program with and for autistic young adults to address these challenges. What is involved in the study? First, we'll discuss how we communicate with you. You can answer questions in the way that you are most comfortable. We can support you with augmentative and alternative communication, or AAC. There are 5 options for how we communicate with you. These include in person, which can happen in Vermont only, on the phone, virtually via Zoom, through an online survey, or through a mail-in survey. If you choose in-person, phone, or virtual as your communication preference, you will participate in an interview. If you choose online survey or mail-in survey, you will take a survey. If you choose to participate in an interview, we'll set up a time to meet with you using your preferred format. At the meeting, one of our interviewers will ask you questions. We'll provide a copy of questions in writing, and we will read them to you. If the format allows, you may also use voice or text to answer questions. If you choose to take a survey, we will mail you a paper survey or email you a link to click. You will complete the survey on paper or online. Surveys are typically completed on your own and at any time that works for you. However, we can provide assistance if you ask, such as meeting with you or body doubling while you complete the survey. What we ask about. First, we'll ask some background information about you, like your age, gender, and race. Then we'll ask about your autistic identity. For example, how old were you when you were first identified, and were you self-identified, or did a healthcare professional make a formal diagnosis? Finally, we'll ask about your sexual and dating experiences. We will ask if you've had any, and if so, how many partners you've had. We'll also ask what a satisfying dating or sexual relationship means to you, and about any challenges you've experienced finding that. You can find a copy of all of the questions we'll ask you on the study website. Follow-up questions. Besides the interview questions, we may ask you some additional follow-up questions. Our follow-up questions will vary based on the answers you gave us. The purpose is to make sure that we are fully understanding your responses. Here's an example of a follow-up question we might ask. You mentioned that your past dating relationships affected your mental health. Can you tell us more about that? Follow-up questions will be asked during your interview if you are participating in person, by phone, or on Zoom. If you're completing a survey, either online or by mail, we'll send our follow-up questions after we read your responses. These questions will be unique to you. We may continue to send you additional follow-up questions until we're sure that we understand your responses. Time required. Generally, it takes about an hour to complete this study. However, the exact time will vary depending on how much you share. The way time is allocated is a little different for interviews and surveys. Interviews take place in a single 1-hour session. Surveys consist of an initial survey that takes about 30 minutes and then some follow-up questions from us that typically take about 30 minutes more. Audio recording. Interviews that are in person, phone, or on Zoom will be recorded, but only the audio component, no video recording. The purpose is to make sure that we are using your exact words, not relying on the interviewer's memory. You can see the What About Confidentiality section below for additional information. What are the risks and discomforts of this study? Risks of this study include feeling uncomfortable or accidental disclosure of private information. Additional details will be provided. Feeling uncomfortable. The most common risk of this study is feeling uncomfortable. There are many reasons someone might feel uncomfortable. Sharing personal information can be uncomfortable by itself. Meeting with others you don't know can be uncomfortable. Sharing personal information with someone you've just met can be uncomfortable. Discussing intimate topics like sex or dating or even thinking about them can be uncomfortable. And if, like many autistic people, you've had unpleasant, upsetting, or traumatic experiences related to sex or dating, remembering them or sharing them can feel uncomfortable. Your options. If you feel uncomfortable, you have some options. You can feel free to skip any question. You can stop the interview or survey at any time. The interviewer may check in with you if they feel worried about your well-being during the interview. They may ask your permission to stop the interview or move on from a question. We recognize that many autistic people experience thoughts of suicide or self-harm. If you share with us that you're having thoughts of actively harming yourself, we will ask additional questions to assess your immediate safety. As researchers, we do not provide mental health services. If we feel concerned about your immediate safety, we may work with you to contact your personal doctor, trusted family member or friend, or therapist to discuss your thoughts of harming yourself. Depending on how intense your thoughts are, we may also seek medical support for you by calling 911, which may or may not result in a police response. If you participate in a written interview, it is possible that we will not view your answers for several days or weeks after you complete the surveys. If you're thinking about hurting yourself or someone else, please tell someone who can help immediately. Call the toll-free 24-hour National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to talk to a counselor near you. Next, we'll provide a list of supportive organizations. Some work with autistic people, some specialize in supporting people with mental health struggles or relationship trauma. Some do both. While some of these provide services to a state-specific population, the websites contain resources that may be helpful to others who live outside the provider's area. The National Sexual Violence Resource Center is a national project founded by the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape that is committed to ending sexual violence. The National Suicide Hotline is available for call, text, or chat for immediate support. They are available 24/7 and are free and confidential support for people in distress. Additional resources for support are available online. You can call or text them at 988. The Trevor Project. This is also available by call, text, or chat for immediate support. They're available 24/7, free and confidential crisis support for LGBTQ+ youth. Additional resources for support are available online. To call, the number is 1-866-488-7386. To text, the number is 678-678. Twainbow is an autistic-led organization to support LGBTQI+ autistics, and the Wildflower Alliance is a Massachusetts-based resource with some resources available to all. This is a grassroots peer support, advocacy, and training organization with a focus on harm reduction and human rights. Accidental disclosure of private information is an additional risk in this study. While it rarely happens, there is always a chance that your personal information could be accidentally shared. Our study team follows professional guidelines that are designed to keep this from happening. What are the benefits of participating in the study? There is no direct benefit to you from participating in this study. We hope the information you give us will ultimately help us and others to support autistic young adults to experience more satisfying dating and/or sex. If we are successful, we hope that you or those you care about will benefit from what we learn. Please note, people often think of compensation as a benefit. While the direct benefits to participants are limited, participants do receive a gift card or check as compensation, and there's more information available on this in the coming parts of this video. Are there any costs? There are no costs for participating in this study other than your time. What is the compensation? As compensation for your time, at the end of your interview, you will receive a $50 check or electronic Amazon gift card. The compensation will be sent within 60 days after you have completed the study. If you were interviewed, meaning in person, phone, or on Zoom, you have completed the study once the interview is over. If you submitted a survey, online or by mail, you've completed the study once you have finished all of the follow-up questions. To be compensated for this study, you will be required to provide your name, mailing address, and signature to receive a gift card or check. You will need to do this even if you think we should already have your name and mailing address on file. This information is collected using a separate secure survey, online or paper, and stored separately from your study data. If you received $600 or more from UVM, the University of Vermont, this calendar year, or are getting more than $100 now, you must also provide your Social Security number. If you're not a U.S. citizen or permanent resident alien, you must also complete additional paperwork, including your immigration status, prior to payment. This information is used for tax withholding and reporting purposes only and is strictly confidential. It allows the university to determine your U.S. residency for federal income tax purposes. What about confidentiality? We'll first discuss general protections. To help keep your information private, we will not put your name on your data. Instead, we will use a participant ID. A participant ID is a random code made up of letters and numbers. Your participant ID will protect your privacy. Any specific names, dates, or places that you share in your data will be deleted and replaced with your participant ID. If there is any other information that you feel may identify you, you can ask us to replace that with your participant ID as well. We will restrict access to identifying data to a list matching your name with your participant ID. This list will only be seen by someone who needs to contact you, such as the lead investigator or study coordinator. This list is password protected. We will destroy this list at the end of the study. This will destroy any connection between you and the data you provided. At the end of the survey, there will be a place for you to tell us if you want to be notified when the master list has been destroyed. Any information that you share with us that is electronic or from a computer will be protected with a password. Any information that you share with us that is printed will be kept in a locked file cabinet in a locked office. Next, we'll discuss specific protections for interviews, those occurring in person, on the phone, or virtually. In general, these are the same as above. If you participate in an interview, your audio recording will be labeled with your participant ID, not your name. Then the interview will be transcribed, which means typing up a written version of your interview from the recording. Only the lead investigator, the person who interviewed you, and the person who transcribes your recording will be allowed to access it. The transcriber we hire will be required to sign our confidentiality agreement before listening to any recordings. Any specific names, dates, or places that you share in your data will be deleted and replaced with your participant ID. If there is any other information that you feel may identify you, you can ask us to replace that with your participant ID as well. Once the recording has been transcribed and double-checked for accuracy, we will destroy it. At the end of the interview, we will ask you if you want to be notified when the recording has been destroyed. Now we'll discuss specific protections for online surveys. In general, these are the same as above. We will only use a UVM email account ending in either @med.uvm.edu or @uvm.edu to contact you by email. You'll be sent a link to a survey on Qualtrics, a secure online platform for completing surveys with our initial questions. Follow-up questions will use the same secure process and platform. All of your responses will be copied and pasted into a clean document and labeled with your participant ID. Any specific names, dates, or places that you share in your data will be deleted and replaced with your participant ID. If there is any other information that you feel may identify you, you can ask us to replace that with your participant ID as well. The original survey you completed, along with the email to you and survey links, will be destroyed at that time. At the end of the survey, there will be a place for you to tell us if you want to be notified when the email correspondence and survey links have been destroyed. Now we'll discuss specific protections for mail-in surveys, which are, in general, the same as above. We'll mail you a paper version of all questions. This paper survey will be labeled with your participant ID. Any follow-up questions we mail you will follow the same process. After you complete the survey, we'll type up a copy of your responses with your participant ID. You'll be asked to answer questions without sharing any information that could be used to identify you. If you do share any identifying information, any specific names, dates, or places that you share in your data will be replaced with your participant ID when we transcribe your responses. If there's any other information that you feel may identify you, you can ask us to replace that with your participant ID as well. We will destroy the original paper copies and any associated envelopes or correspondence once we have transcribed your responses. At the end of the survey, there'll be a place for you to tell us if you want to be notified when the paper copies, including any envelopes or correspondence, have been destroyed. Additional protections and exceptions for all participants. In order to pay you, we will need to collect additional information about you. You can refer to the What is the Compensation section of this video for additional information. We will store your name, address, and any other payment-related information in a different place than we store your responses to the survey or interview. The results of this study may be shared in a publication and/or presentation, but your right to confidentiality still applies. All information will be reported as collective data. No information will be reported that will enable others to identify you. Reporting requires us to use quotes from participants to support our findings. If you are quoted, your quote may be attached to relevant demographic information, such as your gender or sexual orientation, to provide context for your quote. Your name and any other identifying information will not be used. The organization that sponsored or funded this study, or someone it appoints, may need to access your research records to help verify research procedures and/or data. The purpose of this is to audit the research team, not to collect your information. The same is true for the Institutional Review Board that oversees research at the University of Vermont. This is a rare occurrence. We ask you to use only the secure platforms we provide for you to share sensitive information. This keeps your information secure. We do not advise sharing sensitive information with us through emails, texts, or social media. We cannot protect your confidentiality on these platforms. If you choose to communicate with us via email, you may want to use an email that does not have identifying information in it. If your email address contains identifying information, such as your name or birthday, the study team can help you set up a non-identifying email address to use for the study. This research is covered by a Certificate of Confidentiality from the National Institutes of Health. This means that the researchers cannot release or use information, documents, or samples that may identify you in any action or suit unless you say it's okay. They also cannot provide them as evidence unless you have agreed. This protection includes federal, state, or local civil, criminal, administrative, legislative, or other proceedings. For example, even if we get a court subpoena, we still need your permission to testify. We will keep your study data as confidential as possible. Please know, however, that the Certificate of Confidentiality does not protect against everything. There is certain information that we must report for legal or ethical reasons, such as ongoing physical, emotional, or sexual abuse of a child or older adult. If we feel concerned about your immediate safety, we may try to get you medical assistance. Refer to the What are the risks and discomforts of this study section of the video for additional information. We may also need to report this information to the Institutional Review Board or the IRB for legal reasons, so they can ensure that we have followed our research protocol appropriately. The information we collect in this study may be used for future research. If that happens, we will make sure that any information we use or pass on to others cannot be used to identify you. While there are rules regarding what information we can share, you can share whatever information you want about your participation in this study. Can you withdraw or be withdrawn from this study? You can always change your mind and stop participating in this study at any time. Your decision not to participate will not affect your clinical care, job standing, class standing, grades, or status on an athletic team. If you decide to leave the study, any data that's already been collected is usually kept. This helps the researchers give a complete report of who participated and informs future research. You can tell us that you want your previous responses destroyed. We can do that up to a certain point, that is, before your information is de-identified. De-identification is an intentional part of the research process where we destroy the master list that tells us which participant is connected to which responses. Once that list is destroyed, we can no longer identify which responses belong to which participant, usually a good thing, so we'll not be able to identify your responses to destroy them. We may ask your permission to withdraw you from the study if the interviewer becomes concerned that participating in the study is impacting your well-being. If you wish to discuss your decision to leave the study at any time, please contact me, the lead investigator, Laura Lewis, at 802-656-3601 or by email at laura.lewis@med.uvm.edu. For more information about this study, you can contact me, the lead investigator, Laura Lewis, using the email and phone already shared here. For more information about protection for research participants, including questions about your rights or what to do if you've been harmed in a study, you can contact the Director of Research Protection's office at the University of Vermont. Their phone number is 802-656-5040. Once you've had a chance to review all of this information, we'll ask you to acknowledge the following statement of consent. You have been given and have read or have had read to you a summary of this research study. Should you have any further questions about the research, you may contact the person conducting the study at the address and telephone number given below. Your participation is voluntary, and you may refuse to participate or withdraw at any time without penalty or prejudice. You agree to participate in this study, and you understand that you will receive a copy of this form. Thanks so much for watching, and please don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions about this study.